Cool. All right, I think you're off and running.
All right. So today we're going to talk about how to become an influencer, but really just how to build your brand through social media. My name is Nikki. About 5 years ago, I started the handle on Instagram called Denver Kittens. So that was back in 2019, and that was when I started fostering kittens. And I just didn't want to annoy my friends and family with lots of photos of cats and kittens. So instead, I created this handle and thought people could just opt in to see these photos instead. And I thought it was just going to be for friends and family, to be honest. But at this point, 5 years later, now I have about 35,000 followers across platforms. I've raised over $150,000 for local rescues. I've found homes for over 300 cats and kittens and dogs and counting. And I've partnered with brands like Petco, Skechers, and Dr. Elsie's, which is a big pet food and litter brand. And I this year started my own nonprofit with a rescue focus. And then I also manage the City and County of Denver social media channels. And all of that is because of one little Instagram handle, including this job that I have with the City of Denver, and which brings me to you guys today. So platforms that I use. So for Denver Kittens, I primarily focus on Instagram. Oh, why is it doing that?
Because it's on the. There's another way to play it, right? It's like not in presenter mode.
Huh. Interesting.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. Now I'm seeing it online.
Yeah, I guess it's just not showing. It won't play the regular way.
Yeah, weird.
Okay, so it sounds like you guys missed this slide. So I'll just quickly run through it again. So I started Denver Kittens in 2019. At this point, I have over 35,000 followers and raised over $150,000 for local rescues. Found homes for over 300 cats and dogs. Partnered with large brands. And I started my own nonprofit this year. And then I also manage the City and County of Denver socials. Oh, no, it won't advance. Let's see. And that's all because of one little Instagram handle. Again, like I said, yeah.
Technical difficulties, sorry guys.
I think we
Go
can
this
advance
way.
this way.
Okay.
It's just they can then see it. Oh, can you expand it a little bit? Yeah, that's fine. I think it's all right. And so all that to say is Instagram is and social media is a great way to be able to build your brand. Platforms. So for Denver Kittens, I primarily focus on Instagram, Facebook, and Threads, so the 3 meta platforms. And then for City of Denver, we focus primarily on Instagram, Facebook, and then the platform formerly known as Twitter, which of course is now X. Audiences in general. So on Facebook, it tends to be an older audience, Gen X and Boomers, slightly more female. Of the 3 or of all the platforms, it tends to be the most equally balanced between men and women. On Instagram, it tends to be more female, millennials, and it tends to lean left politically. And then X tends to be pretty male, white, and lean right politically. And then on Threads, it tends to be younger and male, and that's primarily because They tried to be similar to X and Twitter when Twitter turned into X, and I think a lot of that audience just moved over to Threads. So it's a kind of a similar audience. Knowing your audience. So you can learn a lot about your audience through the analytics, and we will come back to that toward the end of the presentation. But you really want to figure out why should they care about what you're posting about. You want to show what makes you different or unique. So for the Denver Kittens account, there are probably 9 million cat accounts on social media, on Instagram. There's thousands of accounts that only focus on rescue and foster cats and kittens. So it's a surprising amount of competition. So I really had to think about and figure out what is going to make me unique and what's going to make them follow my account as opposed to another one. What's going to make them opt into my content. To do that, one of the things I use is humor. That's a big part of my life generally. And so that just carried over into my account. And then I really try to do storytelling with the cats that I feature, and I try to just show them in unique lights and also try to educate my audience on things that could be going on with cats and kittens that they might otherwise not know about. So you want to pay attention to gender, age, interest, political leanings, when they're online. A lot of that info can be found in your analytics, which again, we'll go back to, but that's going to tell you a lot about what they're interested in. Same with captions. When you're thinking about content, you also want to think about your captions. So those you want to try to tailor to your audience whenever you can. So are they expecting humor in your captions? Are they expecting product links, product reviews? Do they respond to questions if you ask those in your captions? So all of these things can help you know your audience, which will get them to engage with you more. And then you also want to focus on what mediums do best on which platform, so that you're tailoring to the audience on that platform. So for Denver Kittens and for the city of Denver, I've noticed that photos and still images tend to do best on Facebook. If I post a video on Facebook, it's not going to do well. It does probably half as much in impressions. But then on Instagram, since they have such a big focus on Reels, Reels tend to do better on Instagram. Threads is meant to be more text focused, but I've had a lot of success with still photos on Threads too. Zero success with videos on Threads, so I would not recommend doing videos on Threads. And then for all platforms, engagement is king or queen. And that's because they want people to get onto the platform and then they want people to stay on the platform. So if you have content that is engaging, they are going to reward you for that. And just as well, if you are engaging with other content, they're going to reward you for that. So social media is just that, social. So you have to kind of remember that. They don't like accounts that post and ghost. So the accounts that will post something and then get off the platform and go do other things. So you really want to set aside 10 or 15 minutes a day or a week if you can, if a day is too much, to start scrolling through. And you want to respond to comments and DMs to your own posts in a timely manner. And that is to, again, increase engagement. Every comment that's on a post, even if they're coming from you, counts in that engagement score. So it increases your standing in the algorithm. And so at the City of Denver and Denver Kittens, if there's like a legitimate comment or a question concerning city resources or something like that, we will respond. I will say if we get trolley comments, which we do pretty commonly at the City of Denver, those as a rule we tend to ignore. But if they're legit questions or concerns or something like that, we do try to respond to those like pretty quickly. And then some accounts will even respond to comments that are just like emojis, because again, it's just going to increase that engagement score inside the algorithm. And then same thing, you want to go on and comment in like other posts. So again, you're not posting and ghosting, you're getting on there and engaging with other people who are either your your supporters, your customers, like-minded posts, those sorts of things, just to be able to engage with others on there. And then there is a sort of hierarchy of engagement on the platforms, especially on Instagram. So shares is what you want to go for first. Those get rated the highest, and then saves, and then comments, and then likes. So you can get 100 likes on a post, but if you only have 1 or 2 shares, it's still going to be a lot lower in the algorithm, because really what Instagram wants you to do, or wants people to do, is share it to other people to get them on the platform, to get them using it. Here's some simple tips and tricks that I've come up with along the way. So the more vertical posts and videos, the better. You really want to take up as much real estate on the screen as you can. So as they're scrolling through, bigger is better. And that means that horizontal videos and photos are a big no-no. So those used to be very popular on Instagram, but no longer. You really want to go for that 9:16 if you can. If you're doing videos, try to do them all in portrait. As a last resort, you can do square ones, but stay away from horizontal ones. In videos, you want to always try to use captions and subtitles, because a lot of people aren't watching with sound on. So you want to be able to catch them too. Pay attention to trends, but only use them if they make sense for your brand. So I'll show you a few videos in a couple of slides of some trends that we use for City of Denver and for Denver kittens. So there are trends going around like social media constantly, but you don't want to jump on every trend every time, because then you're going to turn into a meme account. Yeah.
If you do shoot horizontal video, is there a way to convert it well to vertical video, or is there something to keep in mind if you want to shoot with both?
If you're hoping to get video for, so if you're hoping to get more professional horizontal video and something that you can convert to social media, I know sometimes people can edit it down, and if you're thinking about centering it, sometimes it's probably easier. But if you can, I would just recommend popping your phone out and trying to get video at the same time if you can. Yeah, because you're really going to go with phone size video. And I don't think that we've found, at least at the City of Denver, a great way to be able to convert those easily. Yeah. So if you're going with trends, you really only want to do them if they tie directly into what your brand is. So don't hop on everyone, but some of them can help you grow your audience. And then you want to make sure you're part of the conversation. So seasonally, if things are going on seasonally, like at the City of Denver, when the holidays are happening, we'll do lots of videos on holiday markets, lights, all those things that people are already talking about. Or it was just pumpkin patch season, so we did a couple of things on pumpkin patches and recycling pumpkins, those sorts of things. You can see one example here. There was a video going around for a while of a bear in a zoo, and it looked like the bear was a human in a costume, and everyone online was making fun of it and couldn't believe it. And so we just threw up a very quick post that same day making fun of the blue bear, saying, "Don't worry, guys, this isn't someone in a costume." So just like a quick, easy way to capitalize on the conversation that's happening right now without having to put too much work into it. But again, it ties directly back into our brand, the City of Denver. And then finally, you want to use hashtags on Instagram. Threads has also released a hashtag feature now. I think you can use 1 or 2 at a time. I think you can use 1 or 2 at a time on Threads, but if you are on Insta, you can use quite a few. I know some people don't like to use them because they think it looks messy, but I will say I've looked at my post analytics, and in every single post I get, at least a few hundred views or impressions will come from hashtags. So I know that they do work. I can see that they're working. And so I will use hashtags until I can see that they are no longer bringing in a new audience. And it looks like we got a question. So tips on how to get more shares without saying, "Please share our content." Um, I will say you can. I have done that before. Please share our content. And Instagram says that they won't knock you down for saying that. But it's really just creating content that you think your audience is going to want to share. So creating something humorous, if that's your audience, maybe giving them tips or tricks or resources. You got to think about like what's going to look good if they share to their stories. But most of the shares are happening now are from person to person. So like me sending to a friend. And I'm sure that we've all got those kinds of videos in our DMs, and it's usually connected to like something, usually a trend, something that's happening currently, something where we're super interested in. And so, yeah, you sort of just really want to focus on what your specific audience is most likely going to really enjoy enough to be able to share to someone else. And then we'll see if this video works. So this is sort of us being part of the convo. So this was an April Fool's video that we did with the mayor this past year. See if it will play for you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Mayor Mike Johnson here today with a very important announcement. Today, we are making a historic step in Denver. As part of being a world-class city, it is time for us to move to a world-class system. That is why today we are excited to announce that we are officially changing Denver to the metric system, which means no longer will we be the mile-high city. We will now be the 1.6 kilometer high city. Tastes like world-class already. You'll start to see changes happening around the city already, including right here, where we're going to change our mile-high sign to now our 1.6 kilometer high sign. Everyone that comes to Denver can be able to see it right here. We're working on changing the mile-high step at the Capitol to the 1.6 kilometer high step. But that's not all. You will also be able to go see games next year at Empower Field at the 1.6 kilometer high stadium. I am today sending a very strongly worded email to Roger Goodell, the NFL commissioner. Headline's going to be urgent, exclamation, exclamation, exclamation point, to push the NFL to move the entire NFL to the metric system. Maybe you're the free-spirited type. Maybe you're the guy that likes to drive down the highway with your head out the window and the wind in your hair, and you see that sign that says 55, and all of a sudden Sammy Hagar's in your mind saying, I can't drive 55. Well, guess what? Now, as we change our street signs to kilometers, that sign will say 88.81. You can now go 88 kilometers per hour anytime. This is going to be a moment to transform the city. I'm going to sign the proclamation, and the metric system will begin. Oh, we already have swag. You can get this. Let me just put it on. First ever kilometer high city swag. This is what you have to look forward to, Denver. Welcome to Denver, 1.6 kilometer high city. Stay classy, Denver.
So that's just a fun little video we did for April Fool's Day. So a few more tips and tricks. You don't want to use logos or watermarks on any of your videos or photos. I know some people get protective of their content, but Instagram actively demotes those inside the algorithm. So they will not show them to non-followers of your account if you have a logo or a watermark on there. So that is probably a huge audience that you're going to miss out on. You want to try to avoid graphics. Just because they can look like an ad, and people sort of are still used to like old school Instagram where it used to be only photos. And so they still look forward to that when they get on Instagram. So I will say it's easier to use graphics on Facebook. They're less likely to get, or they're more likely to get impressions and views on Facebook and probably Twitter. So primarily just Instagram, you really want to avoid graphics there. And if you have something to promote that you think is going to be a graphic, try to incorporate a photo instead if you can. And then you want to add collaborators and tags as appropriate, and that's just to be able to get a bigger audience. So collaborators are accounts that will it ends up posting the same post to their account as well. So then you'd be able to reach their audience. And then tags sort of help you reach businesses or people who might then be willing to share, or comment on your post. And you only want to do those if they're involved in your video or connected to your post somehow. And then you want to make sure that the videos and photos are clear and visually appealing, just because people have gotten really used to that on social media. I'll just share like a quick story about this kitty who was in foster care for 5 weeks. The photo on the left there are the ones that we were getting from the foster, and we were promoting those heavily for 5 weeks trying to get this kitty adopted. I even boosted the post, so I paid for ads to be able to get her seen more. Nothing was working. She moved to my house, and we were able to get better photos and videos like the one on the right, and then she was adopted in 3 days. So that tells you like what a big difference that photos, clear photos and videos will do for you. And then Reels. So Reels came about on Instagram because of TikTok, because they wanted to be able to compete with TikTok, who's kind of taking over social media still. So Reels was brought in, I think 2, maybe 3 years ago at this point, to try to compete with them. At one point, they were even paying creators to make them. But now they don't pay as much, but they do still heavily promote them in their algorithm. They are at the top of their algorithm. So if you are looking to go viral on Instagram, if you're hoping to go viral on Instagram, it's most likely going to be with a reel. When they're in full screen, they're 16:9, and in that case, you just want to mind your text. So you can see over here, I created a little mock template of where your text can and can't go. So in the green there, you really want to avoid that space because it's going to either get cut off once it shrinks down to the feed size. Any text outside that little box is going to get cut off, or it's going to be cut off by the caption or the little like buttons that go on the side. So you just want to be mindful of that. There is a template inside of Instagram that shows you that, but if you're editing outside of Instagram, you kind of just have to keep that in mind. And then remember with Reels, you have only 3 seconds to hook someone. That's how long people are going to wait before they flash by. That's why a lot of people will put text on their opening screens. If it's like POV at the pumpkin patch, that type thing, like they'll put a title screen up there, and that's to try to hook people and then get them to keep watching if it's something that they're interested in. Ideally, you don't want to go over 60 seconds. I'll say at the city of Denver, people stop watching the videos after only 7 seconds. So, or they not everyone, but there's a drastic fall off after 7 to 8 seconds. And so these really are super quick videos. You got to front load all your best content because they're probably not going to see what's happening at the end. And then you want to include interesting transitions when possible. And this is, again, because you want to keep people watching, and transitions are a good way to do that. We especially try to do that with the City of Denver ones. We're always trying to think of new ways to be able to transition from one video to the next inside of a full reel. You also want to try to use trending audio. So you have to be set up as a certain account on Instagram to be able to do this. There are ways to get around it if you have other sorts of accounts, but whenever possible, you want to try to use trending audio because those, again, will increase your standing in the algorithm. And then after I post a reel, I always share it to stories, probably 12 to 24 hours after I posted it to the feed. A lot of people will do it immediately, but I wait because I noticed, at least with my followers, that if they see it in their stories, they are much less likely to then go to the feed and like, comment, or share. So I would rather it first pop up organically in their feed so that they'll then engage with it. Remember, engagement is king. That's what's going to keep your video in people's feeds. So then I'll wait, hopefully get as many people as I can, and then share to stories, and then get some more viewers there if I can, some more impressions. And then this is just another quick video that I did for Instagram that kind of shows those kind of some of the things I talked about. Let's see.
Are you so hungry? So hungry? Oh my goodness.
Did that one load or no? Okay. All right, cool. So just a quick funny video that did well on Instagram because again it was quick and funny and had some text on there. And then like I said, I'm going to show you guys some examples of the trends that we hopped on for City of Denver and for kittens, just to show you some examples of how you can tie them directly into your brand, even when it seems like they kind of don't fit. So here's the first one.
What am I saying again? Sorry. Really, one hand in the back. Denver Decides hits different. It's giving elections. Unlimited Aura points. No cap. That one I don't know. Is it voter registration or registration? Knowing box drop location, knowing Dropbox location gives main character energy. Yeet. Yeet, yeet, yeet. Don't be Delulu. Debate forums are bussin'. Comprehensive ballot breakdown is a vibe. Don't have a mentee bee track your ballot. Sigma ballot tracking. Don't be a skibbity voter. Vote for real.
All right, so there was one for elections that we just did recently. The second one is for one that I did for Denver Kittens. I actually don't jump on a lot of trends for Denver Kittens just because it doesn't fit in my audience. I have found that they actually don't perform well for that account. They do well on the City of Denver. But when I do, it's usually around a trending audio. So here's one of those.
Does anyone else have a cat that lays around looking like they're in the middle of a bitter divorce, like they just got fired and have to go for a colonoscopy in the morning?
And then finally, one that we did for City of Denver over the summer, and this was to promote our cooling centers for those very hot days.
Choose your character.
So, and then for that one, we had lots of content in the caption telling people how they can find cooling centers. So we tied it back. Going viral, because most of what you see online is viral videos. Everyone thinks it's super easy and super common. They think everyone goes viral at some point. But going viral is definitely not the norm. And you should keep that in mind. If you're able to go viral quickly, that's wonderful. Kudos to you. But typically when you're seeing those viral videos, what you're not seeing is the probably years of posts that they were doing before that video happened to go viral, and the checking their analytics and making sure content fit and growing their audience. So you're missing all of that background information before you see that viral video. And so really you just want to be able to focus on creating great content that your audience wants to see and engage with. And then over time, hopefully at some point you will go viral. So this is the example over here is the most recent viral video that I had 4.6 million views. It's still going viral now, which is kind of crazy. But I posted that on August 30th. And although it did get me a ton of followers, I think every viral video will probably get you a bunch of followers. I don't know that it's the audience that I'm particularly looking for. So it is great for the numbers, but it's not necessarily the type of audience that are going to adopt a cat from me, which in the end is probably what I'm looking for. And so they are really great, but it's important to remember that after you go viral, you're most likely going to go back to normal engagement on your videos. And so you really just want to keep focusing on getting your audience and the people who you think are your supporters and customers to engage with your content, to keep them involved in your account. Analytics. So like I said, we were going to get back to analytics. This is really your view into your audience. So this can help you learn a lot about what they're interested in, why they're following you, why they might stop following you. And so to be able to find them on Instagram or Facebook, it's called, you do need a business or a creator account. For Facebook, you do need a business page. And you can see it's pretty easy to find them on Instagram. Just go to your profile page and there's, excuse me guys, I'm just getting over a cold. But if you go to your Instagram, you'll see that there's a button that says professional dashboard. That's probably the easiest way to get to it. You click on that and then it's going to give you information about your audience and each individual post. It will tell you if your audience is more male, more female, their age range, their location, when they're online, even when they're interacting with your posts, which is really helpful because then you can use that to figure out when you should post, which I think is probably one of the biggest questions people always have. You can find that information in your analytics. So I do check my analytics pretty frequently on my posts, the individual posts. At this point, I have a pretty good handle on who my followers are, so I don't check that as much. But if you can, as you have time, I would recommend keeping an eye on your post analytics because it can help you plan for future posts. It can help you figure out, you know, if this thing we tried didn't do well, maybe we shouldn't try that again. Or if this thing did super well, then okay, like maybe we should try to incorporate that a little bit more. Like I said, that's how I found out that images and stills did really well on Facebook, but videos didn't. I can tell that from the analytics. So you can use them, insights or your professional dashboard on the individual accounts, or if you use a scheduling tool like Sprout or Later, then it will aggregate the data for you across platforms so you can get an even better view of what you're looking at and what's doing well. And then what do they mean? So even when you go into your post insights, what are you looking at there? So your impressions and your views, that's the total times that the post was seen. Reach is unique views. So usually your views or impressions are going to be higher than your reach. And that's because reach is just telling you how many accounts you got to, but impressions, maybe somebody saw it 2 or 3 times. So those each count as an impression. Interactions or engagement. And this is, again, the number that you're looking to be, the higher the better. Because again, this is what will raise you in that algorithm. And that's a total of the likes, saves, shares, and comments on any post. And then profile activity. This is kind of a good one to keep an eye on. It's visits to your profile after they saw the post. So that kind of tells you that they're interested in learning more. They saw something they liked. They went back to your profile to check it out to see if there are any other posts that they would be interested in. Maybe they even follow you. It's not shown on this graphic, but it does tell you also in these analytics for a post how many follows you got based on that post too. Some helpful tools. So a ring light, especially if you're going to be featuring people. This one in the photo is the one that I have at home. Super easy, inexpensive, got it off of Amazon. It just sits on your desk and can sit behind a computer. I also have a bigger one if you're doing like larger sets. And then you can also get like a little tiny one for your phone if you're doing more like POV type shots. A phone tripod. I'll admit I don't use that as much as I should, but there are definitely lots of options for phone tripods. You can even get ones that like bend around so you can like put them pretty much anywhere and film anything so that you don't need to use your hands to hold the phone. A wireless microphone for the phone, especially again if you're filming people or doing interview type things. CapCut is an video editing tool. I saw you guys did a training yesterday, I think, on CapCut, so that would probably be useful. I tend to do a lot of my videos just inside of Instagram because it's the easiest and quickest for me, but there are some that I will go to CapCut for because it does have a lot more features than Instagram's editor does. So it's sort of like a step above Instagram. And there's like a lot of different things that you can do inside of there. And then there's the schedulers, like I mentioned before, Sprout Social. Later is another one. These are paid programs. If it's just you and you're only managing a few accounts, you probably don't need these. we have Sprout Social for the city of Denver, and that's because we have multiple people in the accounts. So we have me, another manager, and then a couple of video producers who are all sort of just posting content or looking through analytics and all that stuff. And so it's a really great way to be able to keep things organized and to have a calendar that everyone can see where things are going and when things are going out. So those are super useful if you have multiple people working on your accounts or a bunch of different platforms. And then Canva is one, it's a graphic design platform that makes it really easy to create super easy graphics and even some videos that you can post on social as well. And they have lots of great templates and all that stuff, so it's really easy. Who to follow? I'm going to play this because I think it's funny. Who to follow? So you definitely want to follow your competitors. You want to see what they're posting. You just want to see who your competition is. You want to see what's doing well for them, what's not doing well. The same with like-minded accounts. You want to see, if they're posting something that's doing really well, then maybe that's something that you can mimic. And then customers and supporters, if you can, you want to try to follow them as well, just because it's another way to keep them engaged. So if you're going through and you see a customer's post and you like it, then suddenly you're top of mind for them, because we all know everyone's checking who likes our posts. So it's just a good way to be able to increase that engagement. For some more tips and tricks on social media, I recommend following Later. So that's that scheduling tool brand. They do post a lot of tips and tricks for social media managers. So that's a good one. And then Creators is the account that was that's created by Instagram for creators on Instagram. So they will post a lot of tips and tricks about how to use the platform when new things are coming out. So it's a really good way to see how you can use the different tools that's available inside Instagram for your own account and to see things like sooner than most people are probably going to see them. In the end, social media can be very overwhelming. Even in our personal lives, social media is very overwhelming. So I think my biggest tip is to just pick one platform to start to really focus on. Try to choose the one where you think your audience is going to be the most, and then really focus on that and getting that up and running and making it the best that you can for your brand. And then once that's working, you can move to other accounts. So I tend to focus primarily on Instagram, and then the other accounts, I do Threads, Facebook, TikTok a little bit, and LinkedIn, but those are always like, if I get to them, then I will engage with those. So it's a way to sort of make it a little less overwhelming. And if anyone has any questions now, I can answer those. Otherwise, you guys can feel free to reach out to me at any time. Nice.
How many kittens have you guys adopted?
Hundreds at this point. A lot, yeah. Yeah. All from my house. No. Yeah. Awesome. Should I hit end stream for this?
Yeah.
Awesome.
So do you treat that account as a commercial account?
Do I what?
Do you treat your kitten posting, do you treat that as a commercial?
What do you mean by commercial?
Well, like for instance, you were talking a few like to do insights on Instagram and stuff like that,
Mhm.
you have to have a certain type of account.
Yeah.
So do you do that with this?
Yeah. So I have a creator account.
Uh-huh.
So it gives me access to, all of the analytics and all of that stuff, all the
Okay.
insights. Yeah. It's not a personal account.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. Good to go.